What is up guys, Lawless Knights here with another amazing video on Grimsoul. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. On this episode, we're going to be checking out how to kill the Forsaken Gatekeeper in the most effective way possible. Let's get straight into it. First tip goes out to my experienced players out there. If you've got the heavy strike ability selected, do be sure to activate it, then activate the altar, and then you'll have a second ability strike ready to go when the first one's already used. Now let's talk about the items that you should be taking. In terms of food, you need at least half a stack of food for killing the Forsaken Gatekeeper effectively. For beginners, make sure that you carry a bit extra to compensate for those inefficiencies and also those nerves. In terms of armor, I do recommend a tier 4 chest piece for the extra slot that allows you to change out weapons more easily so that you can get rid of those wolves. A tier 3 weapon will be more than fine to kill the wolves in 2 hits. In terms of the other armor, a tier 3 armor set is more than fine. Now let's talk about the weapons. A bastard sword is probably your best bet to killing the Forsaken Gatekeeper effectively and also with reasonable cost attached to it. My next bit of advice is over your skills. Make sure that you activate the heavy strike ability so that you can deal extra damage, and that you activate the passive skills over your weapon and also your healing items. This will make sure that you use less resources. If you have the wolves set up, do be sure to take one of them with you so that they can do additional damage to the Forsaken Gatekeeper whenever you're not able to be directly with him because you're dealing with the wolves, or if you're just running around him and you want the spikes to deal damage to him. When you're checking if the boss is still alive, they have added a feature so that you can see if the boss is still there. This is useful because the boss does reset on a daily basis, so do be sure to get in there every day so that you can collect a Forsaken dungeon key. When you spawn in on the map, the timer for the wolves is activated, so best be sure to start working as soon as you spawn in on the map. When approaching the Gatekeeper for the first attack, use this path that I've chosen. Also, don't pass that line that I've marked unless you are sneaking, so you can get off that sneak attack and get that double damage. There are spikes also on the map. There's 12 of them and each of them do 15 damage. Do remember to make use of your quick slot so that you can access your tier 3 weapon and kill the wolves in 2 shots. Also, when running around the map, do make sure to stay as close to the house as possible so that the Gatekeeper can run into the spikes. The wolves appear on the map between each of the hulls at a 15-second interval. This gives you enough time to get some hits on the Gatekeeper and kill him. When attacking the Forsaken Gatekeeper, do make sure that you stutter your moves or move your character in between so that his flow of attacks is interrupted and it limits the amount of times that he hits you. The loot dropped by the Gatekeeper is pretty standard. He always has a Forsaken dungeon key with him and a scroll of terror. The other items that he has is random, but it can generally vary between having the tin and maybe a tier 2 or 3 weapon. There is always good loot inside the Gatekeeper's hut, and it is generally better than what the AI bases have to offer in terms of cost versus benefit because of the expense for the black powder. The AI bases generally have multiple walls to break through, and you also have to get the key from a random encounter with the AI at random maps. A powder charge is cheap, only costing 5 black powder, so it makes it cheap to have a chance at getting a really high-end weapon like the flaming sword. A really neat trick that I like to use when I'm going to destroy the wall of the Gatekeeper's hut to get the chest is empty out my level 2 bag and make sure that I've got my powder charge with me. This will enable me to get all the loot without having to deal with all the enemies that the powder charge attracts. Discharging the powder charge attracts a lot of enemies because of the sound that it makes. If you've killed the boss, it will tell you that the boss is dead and you need to come back tomorrow. This is a really useful way so that you don't waste your energy checking if the boss is alive to get a key. The base is a standard 2x2 box and it's quite easy to know where the chest is as it appears in the same location all the time. This is really useful so that you know where to place the bomb to get the loot without having to deal with the enemies. I've marked the area where you need to stand to place the bomb so that you can access the chest very easily, get the loot and get off the map before you get boxed in by the enemies that are gonna trap you if you do stay. I've slowed down the video so that you can see in the top right hand corner how many enemies are coming for you if you do decide to stay and fight them. There's a lot of them and they're just gonna waste your armor and weapons, so it's not really worth it. Do remember, in Grimsoul, it's about how you spend your resources that you do have in order to gain more resources. So spending your resources wisely and not fighting enemies where you don't have to is a good way of saving those resources and stretching them out. Well, this is the loot that you get from the Forsaken Gatekeeper's hut. It is really good because it comes with high-end weapons, mid-tier armor and some useful resources like Mandrake seeds. For the beginners out there, if you haven't found the Gatekeeper's hut as yet, it is a map that you find when traveling to the 1, 2 or 3 skull locations and can be found in those chests. Well guys, that's a wrap for this video. If you like the content, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content that we have to offer. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the video. I've attached a few links as well so that you can follow our other videos. But from the Lawless Knights and myself, I'm signing out.